The order of presentations today will be, first we'll hear from Pearls, then Eastbrook, followed by St. John's and Walker. Then we'll have Mesmer and Alverno, Carmen and TFA, and Merrell and Swallow. So I will be flowing to a different slide deck that has everyone's combined presentations. And I'll just remind you who's going next and then who's on deck to go after that person. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions? Okay, I think Lauren had a question about who's sharing the videos when we're sharing. Ronette, are you sharing the videos when it's time for those? Or is Lauren still sharing those?
I thought that Lauren would, but if no one jumps in, I will try. I just have two computers going right now, so.
Well, why don't we have Lauren give it a shot, and then if it doesn't work out, you'll jump in.
Excellent. I'm your backup, Lauren.
All right, awesome. Okay, so for the presentations, we're aiming for between 3 to 5 minutes for your presentation, and we will start with Pearls. I will flow through the slides, and if I don't follow you, just say, go ahead and move the slide forward. All right, Trinice, Cassidy, Andrea, and Emily.
All right, hi everyone. So ours is titled Building Character with Pearls Girls Through Community Service. That is the character education principle that we wanted to focus on. And so as in we, I am Trinice. We have Miss Cassidy also presented today, and then Miss Andrea, Miss Emily. And we are also a part of our social and emotional committee at Pearls. So that is how we formed our group to come here. All right, so a little bit about Pearls. What we do is our mission is to help girls become their best selves. And so we do something called the Pearls Promise. We say this every time we have group sessions, and it spells out Pearls. So we talk about personal responsibility, empathy, awareness, respect, leadership, and support. And those were examples of our community service projects.
Yeah, so on that last slide was, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I was like, this is going a little fast. That's okay though. So we do community service projects towards the end of the semester. We just wrapped up actually today. Today was the due date. And we want to show everyone things that girls have created in our virtual space. So we really had to be very creative in how we talk about community service and understand. We wanted them to understand how the Pearls Promise helps them figure out how can they give back to the community. But before that, how are you becoming your best self before doing that? So a lot of social awareness going on.
Okay, now you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So when we were thinking about this and relating it back to character, really everything that we do at Pearls is super related to character, very related to social emotional learning. But we just really want to be more intentional as we move forward. So some of the things we're focusing on to do that are to have like year-round conversations about all of these things, defining them, defining character, defining social emotional learning, and defining community and what it means to serve in the community. And we also want to possibly provide other opportunities. So we have a lot of partners. And currently what we do is a community service project, like Trinice was talking about, but maybe giving girls a lot more opportunities throughout the year where they're having other service learning, getting exposed to all of those things so that they can better understand and then end up better reflecting when it is the time for their own project. And then as a committee, we want to just keep building more resources and structure so that we can just more effectively create these community service projects or revolving the conversations around community service. And then I think as we all know here, these are Things like social emotional learning and character are not easy to measure. So what we currently have is a social emotional learning survey, and we're constantly looking at that to see if we feel like the questions are effective, what needs to be added, and we definitely want a community service piece inside of that. And then having just more debriefs with our staff on how things are going and to keep an open mind on what needs to change. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, everybody at Pearls. You can show them some love in the chat with your hands. I should turn my video on. You can tell that I'm not teaching on Zoom anymore because I'm a lot slower with all of this. Wonderful job. Okay, so we're gonna go next to Eastbrook and then to St. John. So I'm gonna share my screen again. And we are going to Eastbrook.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Rachel and I am presenting on behalf of Eastbrook Academy today. So yeah, this is just a little blurb about the Warrior Way, which is kind of our like framework for how we have done character education and how we want to continue it moving forward. So yeah, we want to put language to the faith-driven values of Eastbrook Academy that unifies our community. And then we have 4 pillars to the Warrior Way, and these are used as our framework to set and teach norms and character qualities at every level of our school community. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so the kids already have these posters in every classroom, and basically we used to kind of just like vaguely refer to those things like be respectful, responsible, safe, and engaged. And yeah, over the last year, I've kind of been working with admin to challenge some of our other teachers on like giving them training to help them get skills to give the kids the power to say what that looks like in the classroom, because we want to just like encourage them to have ownership over it. And the more we've been working in LACCS this year, we kind of decided that maybe it would be even better to set aside a specific time every week where the 6th graders, our school's K through 12, so the 6th graders, when they're first coming into middle school, really are struggling with organization, peer relationships, and having so many different teachers. So we figured that having a time every week where they can meet with their one like advisory teacher, and then we can work on some of these practices, like these restorative practices to just help them sort of calm their bodies and remember what our goal is here, and also work through some of these questions that are on the slides. So that's the 6th grade end of that. And then in the 8th grade, we've been finding that each year our 8th graders are like really kind of hungering for ownership in the middle school, you know, like wanting to feel like they have a say in things. And I love it. They always have way better ideas than I come up with. So yeah, next year our goal is to kind of train them also in like restorative practices and also in like being leaders to these younger middle schoolers through the Warrior Way. So we kind of developed these questions to help the kids have a framework for what it could look like to respect ourselves and others, what it actually means to be responsible, what it looks like to make school a safe place physically and emotionally, and what it looks like to engage with our community, as in our school community, but also our neighborhood community. We're located like pretty centrally in the city, and we do have interactions with community members pretty much every day, just like walking through our area. So yeah, I think that something that we're really looking forward to next year is having this, it's really a class where we can have these kids at a like set apart time to go through what it looks like to put the Warrior Way into practice, and then asking them to help train students younger than them to kind of like give them that peer accountability and help them feel a sense of responsibility and contribution to our community. So yeah, I'm super excited for next year. I think we still have a few kinks to work out, but you know, like that's how it always goes. So I'm excited to just kind of dive in and see what the kids think and hear their feedback too. I think that's everything. Hopefully that was good.
Oh, that was awesome. Let's give some love in the chat and with your hands or your voices. Thank you so much, Eastbrook. Okay, so next up we have St. John's, and St. John's will be followed by Walker. So I'll share my screen again. And here we go with St. John's.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. So I think our team is not all here right now. Myself and Anita are actually on maternity leave, but since the slide came up, I think I'm able to present. So our promising practice was our leadership curriculum that is led at the school. And this is my first year at the school, so I'm not as familiar with the leadership curriculum that was being taught to the students. I'm not as familiar as Anita and the other teams are, but we are a military academy that this year we open the doors to have non-military students in the leadership academy. And the goal is to develop character and with the inside out approach to meet students where they are and let them discover their own ways of leading and develop their character. All right. And next slide. It started with self-knowledge, self-mastery, and self-respect in the first year. And we have a plan for our second, third, and fourth years. And since our school is a boarding school, our goal is to have opportunities for students to practice leadership in the residence halls where they live throughout the year, and in their athletic activities and citizenship activities, part of that boarding school culture. And to take that into the classroom as well. All right. So we focused on principle number 3 and principle number 5. And our report from the students was that they developed a new perspective on leadership as they acted in peer leadership roles with each other, and to appreciate the leader within. All right. Thank you. That's all from us.
Lindsay, you're on maternity leave and you did a great job, especially for also being new at the school. So we're giving her love.
Oh, thank you. It's my first baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And Anita just had her third.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, they were one day apart. I had mine on April 7th and she had hers on April 8th.
So just almost a month old. That's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's really cool to see the way character education applies to a boarding school setting as well. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely. Bye.
Right. Bye. So next up we have Walker, and then Mesmer is on deck. So here we are with Walker Elementary.
All right. Hi, everybody. I got a little slide crazy, not gonna lie. I always get really excited when I get to do slide presentations. So we have like a little bit of fluff slides, but we'll still keep it within our 5 minutes. So my name is Kristen Brownell. I'm the school counselor at Walker Elementary, and my partner in crime is Morgan Noster, and she's been a classroom teacher at our school for 8 years.
Hi.
So our school is in West Allis, Wisconsin. We're part of the West Allis, West Milwaukee School District. And this is just a little brief timeline of our evolution on our way to character education. For a long time, we were very heavy on PBIS, and our road really started when we started doing different book studies. We started with this idea of growth mindset being something really important we wanted to instill in kids. And then as we did more book studies, it developed into character education, and we got to attend LACCS last year and absolutely loved it. So we've been on this road with them ever since. So for our character education program, we call it Success Skills, and we have 5 different character education traits that we teach kids throughout the year. And those are self-control and sportsmanship, embracing diversity, grit, integrity, and empathy. And the way we do this with our staff is we have PD every month where we come together and collaborate, where the staff learns about the skill, they're given time to brainstorm, how they can do activities with their students, how they can embed it during discussions in the classroom, stuff like that. They share feedback after we're done teaching the trait to share like how activities went, what they liked, what they probably wouldn't do again. So our staff has really grown from that time that we've built in to give them that time to develop their own skills and way they want to make it meaningful for the kids. We are also really working on giving students more voice and choice in our program as we continue to develop so that they can keep embedding those skills in themselves and figure out like what it means to them. And another big piece is we try to bring in as much community involvement as we can, where workers in the community can share how they use these success skills in their life. So we applied for 2 promising practices this year. And the first one we applied for and we did receive a promising practice for was our virtual assemblies. And the reason we did this is because we just needed to reconnect. Being virtual is really starting to be a strain and people missed each other, kids especially. So we adapted our live assemblies to be virtual. So yeah, we adapted them because of COVID to get back our sense of school-wide community. So we just put in a short little clip of my favorite part of assemblies when everyone gets to say bye. I don't know if you can hear the sound, but that's okay. But basically, it's just a bunch of sweet little voices waving, so excited to see each other, saying hi to old teachers, saying hi to their friends. It always makes me laugh and like brings tears to my eyes, especially the first one when we got to do that. So during our assembly, students host, we have each of our teams host an assembly where we're focusing on a certain trait. And they basically share from their perspective, like how they've embedded the trait or what it means to them. And they get to go through our pride pledge. They give us a song we get to dance to. We send invites out so that parents can log on. We're trying to invite community members to log on. But especially our families who are still virtual, we make sure they get those invitations so they can still feel a part of our school, even though they're not in person with us. So we don't have to watch all these videos, obviously. I just wanted to include some of the different aspects of our assemblies. The first video that says small talk honesty, you don't have to click it. It's just an example of a video that we might go over with the kids that really touches base on continuing to define and show live examples of what the character ed skill means. You can click this top second video there of an example of a student share. Hopefully the sound will work.
The sound might not be working because she might be muted.
Oh, that always happens.
Thank you. That is what we're going on.
Diversity means to me is to respect other people who may look different or have different abilities than you do. It is important that we work together and accept each other.
And then the video down below is a little friend talking about integrity. Her video is kind of quiet, but we'll see how it goes.
One time I stole 2 cookies. There was peanut butter from a bag, and I told my mom, and he was proud of me. And then from showing integrity and not telling a lie.
So it just shows like their perspective of different ages, what integrity means to them. For her, it was being honest when she took some cookies she wasn't supposed to have. In the last video, we always have a dance portion just to keep things light and get kids moving. And this was a friend I happened to notice in our little sidebar with how much he was digging our song that day.
Oh, whoops.
Diversity.
All right, we can move to the next.
Kristen, I'm gonna actually go back and do the bye part.
Oh,
Because
sure.
I got to hear it and I didn't realize that no one else could hear it.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Bye, Walker All Stars.
Okay.
All right, I will take over this portion. Kristen, you did a great job. So the other one that we tried for promising practices was our houses. This was something else that we kind of adapted and did because all we kept hearing from the students and staff, we were missing each other so much and the connection. This quote kind of speaks to it perfectly. And like Kristen said, our first assembly all together, most of the teachers had tears in their eyes. We were missing all our former students and students we might have not seen since last March. So it was really special. And we were thinking of how we could bring classes together virtually. We normally do buddy classes. So we made a plan. We kind of did a community building protocol and what it would look like for each team. We already had data teams, so we took that and put them together. They're mostly teams that have the same grades. So you kind of can see the map that we started off, even telling the staff at PD like what our plan was. The protocol was for them to talk about what they wanted their houses to look like and what the purpose would be. And then we have continued to do check-ins with the staff to see where they are currently, what they would like to accomplish, and then who and what will do that to get there. And it's been really great so far. These are just two examples. Our two teams that are second and third grade, they always have recess together. So they really like to play kickball. That's kind of their house time to reconnect. And then on the left there, it's a video of a gallery walk after we did an Earth Day directed video with our house team. It's actually my team and another team.
Beautiful Earth, friends. Beautiful. Oh, wow. Ooh, that one's really nice. Oh. Wow. These are wonderful. This is amazing. Ooh. And as they walk past, look at their work too. Wow, they're showing us our work. Show them your work. Wow.
All right, that's good. Thank you. So our next steps for our overall committee is a new vision. And I know we said it at the beginning, we were really heavy PBIS and we're now, especially our second year with LACCS, we are trying to move our focus all to the character education and even making a new name. We opened it up to different staff, or if there was other staff members that wanted to step down from the PBIS committee, now going to be our character committee. Just making sure that we could get all the teachers that we could to be passionate and basically live it out through our days each day together. And I know Kristen also mentioned that we have been doing our project-based learning projects, and with that, making the students the head of that, the leaders, which we're really excited about. Thanks.
Hooray! Let's give a bunch of love and comments. Thank you both so much for presenting and for giving such really exciting examples also. Okay, so next up we have Mesmer, and then we will hear from Alverno. All right.
All right, ours is like not as pretty and exciting as other people's. I feel like I just need to say that right away. We really focused on the work that our team did last year because we didn't feel like they really got to implement it or get started with it. So if you want to go to the next slide, thank you. We really did a lot of work at the beginning of last school year with core values and getting our core values as a school consistent. And then like we redid our student creed and everything that came along with that. So we started really thinking about the calendar of how we were teaching those core values. So our focus was changing our grade bands and really saying like, okay, K-2, what does safety look like in the younger grades versus 7-8, especially because our middle school teachers really struggled with a lot of our skills because they weren't appropriate for their age levels. So we looked at ways that we could update the calendar, and then along with that, how we could make the students more a part of it and help them take ownership for it. So we're still working on a lot of our kind of details with that, but that's been our main focus for moving forward. And then we've kind of already started with this. So we met with our character ed team consists of everybody in our schools that have gone through the LACCS program in the past and now. So we already started meeting for next year, talking about how we can start making these changes. And then next school year, we'll be sending out Google Forms to get more teacher input on what the students really need in order to achieve our core values and really live them out. And then at the end of each week for our students, we're trying to get a lot more morning meeting time, which right now it's a lot easier because we are just going back in the building. So we have a lot of time built in for morning meeting, but moving into next year, being able to allow the students to reflect on how they did with all of the skills and review skills so that they don't lose them and they don't think, oh, like check mark, we did safety, we're done with that, we can move on. Adam, did I miss anything?
No, just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, we have two campuses and one campus is a little further along than the other. So that's why we were kind of helping them kind of get streamlined too. But again, it was just more the middle school, just having the kids buy in to what they were doing, because some of the weekly skills that we practice underneath the big core focus skills that we have, the middle school kids weren't really applying it just because they were kind of more towards the lower levels. And so just coming up with a way for them to take ownership and being able to develop the skills in which, they could use themselves, but then also model it for the younger kids. That's something that we thought is probably about due. We've been doing this now for a couple of years, and the teachers all kind of developed it together, kind of mapping everything out and what we saw in the classroom. But this will be a way for the middle school students to be able to kind of develop things their way too.
Awesome. I see that Ariane put way to think through building character in age appropriate ways. So that's wonderful and excellent. So we give them some love with our visuals and in the chat. And I think Lauren has the video to share for Alverno from Vanessa. Do you have that, Lauren? Awesome. And after Alverno will be Carmen.
Actually, I'm not seeing, sorry,
Okay, I
Lynette, if
think
you have it, I'm not
were
seeing
the
the
videos coming
link.
through okay when I was sharing? Were you guys able to see them? Were you
Yes.
able to see them? Okay, I'll just go for them. Woohoo! The technology is working better than usual. Let's do it. Maybe.
Looks good.
Okay.
Hello, LACCS family. I'm Dr. Vanessa Hintz, psychologist, also assistant professor at Alverno College, and going to talk to you very briefly about a couple promising practices we have at Alverno. And I'm sorry I can't be there with you all live this evening. I actually am teaching a class, so here we go. First and foremost, special shout out to the Alverno LACCS team. It's been my honor and privilege to share this space with you all throughout this year. And I'm very excited about what we have coming to Alverno, what we're working to develop. So thank you so much to all of these folks and just to the entire LACCS family. So there's two different practices where I'm going to talk to you all about, one of which is in development, one of which we've been sort of implementing. Both have to do with Principle 4, that is about creating a caring community. So at Alverno, we hope to, like most of you, develop caring relationships between students and faculty and staff, and basically between everyone within the Alverno community. And borrowing from Zaretta Hammond, who is the author of Culturally Responsive Teaching, it's important, I think, in addition to creating a caring community, to having a socio-emotional connection to students in order to create a safe space for learning. And the way that we are hoping to implement that through a promising practice is through anti-racism. And so anti-racism, for those of you who are not aware, is ostensibly working actively to eradicate systems of oppression and racism. So not just holding understanding about all of these systems, but working actively to be more inclusive and less oppressive in our practices. And so the first promising practice I want to talk to you about, which is one that we've been working on throughout the year here in LACCS, is the development of affinity groups. And in so doing, our goal is to create small groups of faculty, staff, employees alike at Alverno, some of which are, again, affinity groups where sort of people who share common identities sort of, come in fellowship with one another to sort of talk about different things. And then also restorative circles. So you all are familiar with the sort of circles we do here in LACCS. And so our goal is to make those a consistent practice at Alverno. And a practice that can be facilitated. So facilitated discussions around issues of race and racism, because again, I think, having just a free-flowing, open, process-based discussion is cool, and having some sort of facilitated dialogue in which people can really, get something out of it and do the work is beneficial. And so this is a practice that is still in sort of development, and our goal, beginning in maybe the summer, but more likely the fall, is to start training some of the facilitators for those sessions. And so being able to get a volunteer group of faculty and staff who really want to engage and do this work and really take them through their own sort of personal journey, and then train them to be able to facilitate others through that journey as well. And so the second promising practice I want to talk to you about is actually related to Alverno's newly formed Thea Bowman Institute for Excellence in Leadership. And this is an institute that was named for the amazing Sister Thea Bowman, who was a Black Franciscan nun originally from Mississippi, but she was educated in the state of Wisconsin. She earned a PhD in English and served as a professor at 3 universities. And she received international acclaim for her racial justice and advocacy work. And so at Alverno, being an all-women's college at the undergraduate level, we sort of named this institute after her. And so the Thea Bowman Institute is a full scholarship program for Black women undergraduates. And so scholars that are selected for the Thea Bowman Institute receive a full ride scholarship along with mentoring and a lot of different leadership training. And so that's what I want to talk to you all about in terms of our promising practice, which involves the Thea Bowman scholars in the leadership seminars that we do with them. And I'm sure you all see some familiar faces here. This is our first cohort of scholars at the Thea Bowman Institute. You will see in this picture Dorian, who facilitates circles for us here in LACCS, and also Amira the poet, two of our scholars that we're just very blessed and thankful to have with us. And so the program is set up where there are scholars and then inspireers. I serve as an inspireer. Our program director, Ms. Ronette, serves as an inspireer. And essentially, again, we work to help the scholars through their identity journeys, their leadership training, all of that. And so part of the journey that the scholars take involves identity work. And I was fortunate enough to be able to facilitate some of these racial identity development seminars with our scholars, which again is something I submitted as a promising practice. And so in these spaces, we were able to work, and these were spaces that were, cultivated with, we were all Black women in these spaces, and we were able to really do some identity work around, Black racial identity, just being Black and existing in the world, and really create a space in which Black women can feel safe to experience joy, healing, and hope, which is not always the case outside of these spaces. And so in addition to working on this identity work, the scholars were able to work on their strengths. So Clifton Strengths, if you all are familiar with that, the development of their capacities for critical thinking through a book club, as well as strategies for time management, organization, and planning, because they're college students who are now called upon to do a lot of other things as well. And so I'm very pleased to announce that this promising practice actually was an award recipient through the Wisconsin Character Education Partnership. So kudos to Alverno.
Yay!
I'm so thankful that we were able to be recognized for this amazing work that we're doing, and to be able to continue on in this work with our scholars. And so I'll just wrap up here because I'm going like way beyond 5 minutes. I apologize. I'll just wrap up here to say, moving forward again with that first promising practice I discussed, we're hoping to train our facilitators in these sort of 3 core areas around sort of cultural responsiveness, which is knowledge, self-awareness, and skills. And again, we all sort of can develop those things on our own. And I think it says a lot for Alverno as an institution to want to put this forth as an institutional practice. And so I'm very excited about this. If you all can't already tell, I want to thank you all for your attention. Thank you again to the LACCS family. Thank you to my Alverno crew. So sad I'm not able to be there, but I hope this is fabulous, and I hope to share space with you all very soon. Thank you so much.
Wow. So Alverno crew, could you wave? Could you just accept some of that? That was wonderful. And let's give them some love. I see the hearts. I see the hands. How inspiring. Whew. Okay, so now we have Carmen up next, to be followed by TFA. So I will share the screen again. And go to the next slide.
Hey, everyone. Oh,
hey. We can hear you.
Hey. Oh, perfect. I'm going to talk about Carmen South Middle School and our circles that we have going on. A lot of times when you hear restorative justice circles, it's reactive work, right? A student did something, and then to integrate back into the community, you have a restorative justice circle. Well, our circles are a little bit different because we call them proactive work in the sense that we have intentional time built into our schedule to ensure that our students are given time to reflect on how they're feeling and how they show up to the community. And so they we have an advisory program, and 4 days out of the week, they're working on something called badge work, because when they're finished with it, they earn their badge. And students with badge work, they are able to do a lot of character reflection. Hey, Maggie, a lot of character reflection. My favorite badge that they work on is in the 7th grade. It's called Gratitude Attitude, and students spend a lot of time reflecting on what does it mean to be grateful? Who am I grateful for in my life? And so some of the activities that they have to do is they spend about a week just noting today I'm grateful for this, and just documenting things and then reflecting on who they were grateful for. The culminating project of the Gratitude Attitude badge is that they have to write letters of appreciation to 2 members, one being within the Carmen community and one outside of the Carmen community. And so a lot of times scholars choose to write this letter to their parents, and then we actually bring the parent into our scholar circle, and the student reads this letter of appreciation to the community member at Carmen, but also the outside community member. A lot of just different character education is built through those experiences. We have every single one of our students participate. We modify badges to make sure we meet special education needs, language needs, just to make sure that everyone has a say and that everyone is given the space to like share about who they are. Hello. We also have staff members that participate in staff. So that's something that makes circles unique at Carmen, is that we make sure to not only have scholar circles, but the staff, like only staff, engage in circles. They also have to do this work. And so I've sat in a circle with coworkers who've had to bring their dad into work and read them a gratitude letter. And it's just a powerful moment. And it has really allowed us as a staff to get to know each other and to get to know people that we care about as well. We have other badges. I'm mentioning this one since I already gave context for it, but we have 5 badges per grade level, and the advisors and us as leaders as well, we do the badge work as well so that we're familiar with it. You can hit the next slide if you want. All of our circles start with a true north, so a meditation moment. Students check in, so they talk about like their feeling word, how they're feeling either that day or that week. And then the facilitator checks back with a couple words that may have stood out. And then afterwards, they present the badge work to their community. And so some students, you know, are working on badge work for up to a month, and then they finally get to share their work. A lot of it is shared, you know, about their identity and who they are and how they're building their character throughout this. We have one called Identity Deck. And so it's just, there's a lot of really good work that happens outside of the circle in order to ensure that our circles are really proactive. Mm-hmm. We started our practice in 2018 when we founded our school. And I wish I could take all the credit, but I must give credit where credit is due. We took our practice, it's adapted from Valley Collegiate, which is out in Nashville, Tennessee. And so we have received some of their materials and their support, and they've been incredibly instrumental in making sure we have a character education program at our school. One of the things that became really difficult with Valor Circles is when we went virtual. All of a sudden, you know, kids were used, I'm showing the pictures that I have permission to share, right, of like students like actually in the circle participating. When we went virtual, that was really hard. A lot of students were screens off and you couldn't tell, like, are you meditating with me? Are you truly connected? You know, I had kids sharing about like their immigration story, and I'm like, it's like, are your peers listening? The cameras are off, right? And so we had to do a lot of work to ensure that students had the same feeling and the same community being built in their virtual world as they did in normal school. And so that's what we really focused on, and just like reiterating. I think it was really hard for teachers and almost like disheartening a little bit, like the cameras aren't coming on and I don't know if I'm being as impactful. And we just had to remind people, like, our students, you know, come from communities that oftentimes their stories are not told. And they're like, if you don't give students a space, they're not going to take it because they've lived in a society where they think that's okay. And so we had to continue pushing our middle schoolers and saying, like, we're giving you the space because you deserve it and you're courageous and you can do this. And it's a lot of independent work, like one-on-one coaching with students in order for them to be ready to show up for Circle. If you hit the next slide, I do a lot of work in like just investigating, right, with like kids and just asking them like what makes Circle special. And I always, like, they tell me about it, and I always ask like what makes it difficult. And the number one thing is also that, like, just that I have to share about who I am. And so I wanted to name that because I don't want this to seem like, oh my God, this is so cool, like let's just pick up Circle. Like, so much work has to go in there, and like breaking down barriers and stereotypes of like who like wants to share and things like that. And so we love Circle at Carmen. We're hoping to continue it for many years to come. And we actually also got the promising practice, so wanted to name that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yesenia.
Yay.
Visuals and in the chat. I really like, I heard you say the phrase, and I think I heard Dr. Vanessa say show up. Like, how do we show up and how do we prepare people to really show up at school? Okay, so next we have Teach for America, and then we have Merrell after that. going to share my screen again.
Awesome. Thanks, Marissa. Hi, y'all. My name is Maggie Gallagher. I am the Director of Program Strategy at Teach America Milwaukee. And we're excited to share with you today. I have a couple of teammates who are here today. Andres and Kelly, I think, are here to back me up, but it's just me that you'll hear from today. So for those of you that don't know, though I think a lot of people on this call do, especially those who are alumni, Teacher America is a leadership development program that supports first and second year teachers and then the alumni once they are done with their 2-year commitment to make sure that all students have an opportunity for an equitable education. I'm not going to get into too much depth here on our mission and what we do, but just put it there for folks in case they need a reference point. I think what is really unique about our participation in LACCS is that we actually don't work directly with young people. We work with first and second year teachers and then educational professionals and leaders far beyond that, sometimes 5, 10, 15 years into their educational leadership journey. And so LACCS has really pushed us to reflect upon what does it mean to really put character work into the ecosystem of a group of leaders so that it does trickle down to students and to classrooms. And so that was what really, really drove a lot of how we thought about LACCS, was knowing that while we don't work with, the little ones one-on-one, we work with people all day who do. And so what does that mean? What does that call us to do? Who does that call us to really be in any given moment? And so that was where we kind of found our fire and our reason for infusing character work, especially since we know that it starts with the adults and it starts with the models in the community. So that's just a little bit about how we entered this. We have a few different promising practices, some of which we've sort of already tackled and are sort of working to develop and deepen, and some which we are sort of turning our eye to in this next year post-summer. But the first thing that we really thought about was ourselves, right? About our regional staff and what it means for us to live into character work in a really authentic way is the word I'll use. But we developed a universal hiring profile. So anytime we bring somebody new onto our team, we are truly embedding sort of character into all parts of that hiring process and making sure that it is from the very beginning. We know that our folks are aligned to the values that we hold as an organization. And so we created that this past year. We also do the same thing for our current core members. So making sure that we have a leadership profile that all of our programming, all of our individual coaching that our core members receive is really based on that. We obviously care about creating teachers that are incredible instructional leaders, but we even care a little bit more about our teachers being incredible character leaders, if you will. And so creating a profile that is a foundation to everything that we do in terms of programming. Coming up this next year, we're going to work to create character cohorts for our alumni. We're specifically looking at a lot of our alumni are in sort of middle management, deans of students, assistant principals, where they're directly doing the types of work that Yesenia was talking about in the circle work, and they're in charge of sort of deepening that work at schools. And so we see that as a huge opportunity, that's a group of people that have this unique experience of all being Teacher America alumni together. And so what would it mean for us to sort of bring them into the way that we're thinking about character? And then just sort of like being a part of a broader community like LACCS that is doing this feels really important to us. So that's just sort of just like some headlines, and I'm going to keep us rolling through just because anybody who knows me knows that brevity is not my strong suit. So 5 minutes is tough. Something that we really were inspired by in LACCS was the 11 principles, because we felt that they really got at what we're trying to do at Teacher America in terms of truly embedding something in the soil, in the water, in the air that people breathe. It's not just about sort of the posters on the wall, if you will. And I think a lot of people have taken that away from this. And so you can kind of see there the way that we thought about the principles as they aligned a few of our promising practices there. But those are really the ones that we're focusing on and thinking about. But those are not the only ones, obviously. And so that's a little bit of how we've sort of married sort of the LACCS with our own theory of change. And then if you go to the last slide, just a quick note that we're also really excited about the ways that we're thinking about quantitatively measuring this. And so we also took our hiring profile and matched it up with a staff survey that we already take every year to make sure that we know that when we see staff responses to culture questions, we can directly tie it to the things that we put in our hiring profile as a way to measure their efficacy. Same with our core member leadership and alumni leadership profile, making sure that we're really clear that when we look at data, we're not just looking at it in the same ways that we always have, but we're looking at it specifically towards some of these character orientations. So just a quick note there too on measurement as well. I hope I did that in under 5 minutes. I have no idea. So y'all have to tell me how I did.
You did great. Let's give Maggie some love. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you for sharing what Teach for America is doing with character. Okay, and next we have Merrell, and then our last presentation after Merrell will be from Swallow. So I will share my screen again. And here we go.
All right. How y'all doing? My name is Marquise Terrell. Yeah, we're the Merrell Tigers in the city of Beloit, Wisconsin. We're at the borderline between Illinois and Wisconsin. First of all, thank y'all for being here. And a lot about us, we adapted Principle 10, I want to say. The school engages families and the community as partners in the character initiative. So one of our main things that we got involved in is some things that I personally brought to the school that I'm proud that I was able to do. I worked at Frito-Lay, as y'all see at the top. I was there for 9.5 years, and I actually left there to go work at Merrell. I attended Merrell as a kid, so it was my passion to go back. Made some sacrifices to be there, but you know. So Frito-Lay, I was able to get Frito-Lay involved in the Merrell school, the Merrell community. So on a weekly basis, they donate chips to the school, to Merrell and Hackett every week. And it's just, you know, so what we do with those chips is that we sometimes we have Scholar of the Week, and we do a drawing for kids who has good grades, good attendance and whatnot. And we get them boxes of chips that actually looks like this if they win. And those usually consist of like maybe, you know, 60 to 100 bags of chips that they can take home and last for like a couple weeks and whatnot. We're also involved with New Life Church, which is one of the churches in our community that's very involved in the community. They do a lot of work with us. A lot of kids like to go there. The bishop is very involved in our neighborhood, and the kids really look up to him a lot. We got a lot of programs going on, such as like Beloit Youth Softball, and we've done like the Hero event, where on Black History Month we did a Hero event where we had kids basically speak on who their heroes are. We wanted them to go as far as even talking about as Spider-Man or Superman, like just somebody that inspires them, because we want these kids to know that when they grow up, they can be whatever they want to be, and they don't have to be restricted at any point in their lives. We just want them to really, you know, bring themselves to understand that they could be, you know, be productive in any way that they want to. Excuse me, I'm nervous. Our demographics, we deal with at-risk, low income. It's a at-risk, low income neighborhood in the city of Beloit. Very urban. A lot of our students are minority. So like 47% of our population in the school is actually Black. The rest would be like Latino and, you know, and white, of course. And we're the part of what Brandy, our principal, is doing is that she's trying to bring in community leaders, like bringing in community leaders such as myself into the school to create that bridge between the school and the community. We're getting a lot of like positive feedback with the hiring that she's been doing. It's been really reflecting the students and and their parents and things like that. We've been being able to connect with them on that level, and we're just bringing that trust into the school. And one thing that actually our wonderful principal, Miss Brandy Herford, who isn't here today, one thing that she is working on doing is bringing in it's a program, and I suggest all of you look it up if you haven't heard of it. It's called LU. It's an interactive playground that we're bringing into our gym. It's like virtual entertainment, so it's like they could play like some kind of game on the in the gym where it's like they're learning, but they're like being active at the same time. I wish I had a video of it to show you guys, but obviously you have to look it up. It's called Lou. It's like very interactive, and like we're also planning on doing an open gym whenever like the schools, like whenever we're able to invite people back into the school. We want to do an open gym to the whole community. which will benefit like all of the youth in our neighborhood, because specifically during the winter, a lot of kids don't have anything to do, so they're out on the streets getting in trouble, and we don't want that. So we're trying to run an after-school program where kids can come in and play basketball and get involved in our interactive playground that we're bringing in and whatnot. So basically, a lot of what we do is like we're gaining trust in the community to be able to influence the kids that we deal with. You know, if you deal with kids, you know that one thing about them being able to learn or wanting to learn is when they come to school and they actually want to be there and they got people that they want to be with. So we're like a family there. This isn't like a teacher and student kind of thing. We're building a family. We're building a relationship in the school. And I'm just very proud to be there. I spent, like I say, 9.5 years at Frito-Lay. I took a major pay cut just to go do this, and it's a passion of mine. And a lot of the staff that we have there are very passionate people, and I'm just very proud to be able to present this to y'all today. And I'm sorry I was a little nervous today. I'm just speaking off the cuff right now. So thank you.
Oh, Marquise, it was wonderful. Let's give Marquise a lot of love. And you should look at the chat, Marquise, if you haven't looked at it. You did a really great job. Thank you.
All right. So for Swallow, we, let's see, you're showing our slides. That's good. I'm also in the car, so bear with me. We wanted to highlight one of the new things that we started doing this year. Jeannie Hansen, who is our Spanish teacher, she started integrating mindfulness daily activities into her Spanish classrooms. And I think it's something that staff has really, really noticed as far as a change in the kids. They're calmer. They're responding incredibly well to it. The time begins with positive affirmations. And at this point during the year, the kids completely have it down. It's a pleasure to watch. I had to cover for her one day, and it was just, I didn't even need to tell them what to do. They knew exactly what to do and what, process to use. So she starts with affirmations. She has mindfulness activities. They talk. She's fantastic at using the teachable moment. So she does that as kids have questions about things, particularly after they watch the kids' character clips that are on in 2 slides. If you go forward a little bit, this would be something that we would be happy to share. Each one of these clips on this slide or picture, I guess, is a video that teaches kids about other kids from different cultures. So they're TED Talks. They talk all about diversity, differences, inclusion, and they're short and they're made by kids for kids. So this is something that Jeannie created, and it's part of her daily. She's changing it all the time. It's part of her daily special time with her kids. So she said it was okay if we wanted to share that with others. She's got her positive affirmations on there, and she just goes through them all, and it really leads to a wonderful block of time for the kids to grow. Adam, are you there now? Maybe not.
I am here. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
Oh, good.
Yes,
we can hear you now.
So I texted Annie ahead of time. I said, I'm about to drive through a dead zone. So I was anticipating that. So I honestly would reiterate, or I guess, say exactly everything that Annie just said. We had 3 practices last year, and just given everything on our plate, didn't opt to apply for one this year, but our intention was years for kind of that state that and I have to say, somewhat unrelated. You could not tell that you're nervous, and that I'd love to just hang out with you. You have a great personality. You did a fantastic job.
Okay, so Adam and Annie, thank you so much for sharing your work at Swallow. And thank you for persevering through the technological difficulties in the car. And Marquise, I think he gave you a huge shout out at the end.
Yes, Adam and I said we would love to continue to learn from everybody that's been in this group, and it's been so powerful and really energizing. So thanks to everybody.
Great. So I think, Brenda, we are ready for the closing remarks. Thanks. That was just a really inspiring opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
It certainly was inspiring. I am looking on to see, I haven't been letting people in unless people have been letting folks in on the side, but I don't know if we have everyone. We're a little early in our schedule, but is Dr. Berkowitz in the house?
Yes.
Yes.
I am here.
He snuck in. I didn't catch him. Okay, so Dr. Berkowitz is going to share a few words with us. And then we have two other guests. And are they both? Is Jaffe? I know Jaffe is here. And is Maggie here? Oh, okay.
Yes, I am.
Oh, how exciting. So it will go Dr. Berkowitz and then Maggie and then our lovely Jaffe. Thank you guys. Take it away, Dr. Berkowitz. Inspire us.
In spite of myself. I'll inspire in spite of myself. I'm so happy to be here. Renette can give you more context, or Julie can, as to this is a little bit of a stretch for me right now, but this should be fine. What I wanted to say to you is the following, and I do want to preface this by saying I'm probably not going to linger very long after my comments. I'll probably listen to the other two folks, and then I'll be gone. But I want to talk about a sort of big picture in two ways to put all this in context. And one way to put this in context is that in graduating from this program, and in having your school teams taking this deep dive into the wonderful world of character education, you are joining a large and international community. Just from the work that's come out of our center and things that we've been doing, right now we have countless teams in St. Louis. I can't even figure out how to count the number. I've been doing my summer institute for like 15 years and teams come every year. I've lost track of this, but countless teams in St. Louis, probably close to countless teams now in Milwaukee who have come through this program. We have, I'd say, about 50 school teams across Taiwan that are now doing work because of the trainings that we've done with them. We have 8 school teams in Colombia, in Bogota and in Barranquilla, who have now gone through our training, different kinds of training, not the Leadership Academy training, but school team training. And we're starting up a project in Guadalajara, Mexico to do the same. And there's more to come. We have a project in Kenya. We're not sure how that's going to play out. I have an interest in a school in Haiti that wants to follow this route as well, and folks in Argentina, Spain. You're joining an amazing group of people who have walked the same steps you've walked, which is to say, I want to explore how the ideas in character education and the values and commitment in character education could help me be an educator, could help my team be better at what we do, make the school better at all the things it does, and ultimately nurture the flourishing of goodness in children. So you're joining that network. So that's one big picture piece. The other big picture piece is purpose. And as we all look around our world right now, it is fraught with problems. We've got, and I'm sure you've got the same thing in Milwaukee, I just haven't tracked it. Schools trying to figure out, what do we do about social justice, racial equity, and parents sending threatening emails to superintendents and teachers and others, threatening their lives, so on, saying we don't want that in our schools. We've got, as I said, I do a lot of work in Colombia. Right now they're riding in the streets and the police are murdering them because of the plight of their country. We could go on and on. I don't want to do a litany of misery as we're celebrating here. But the point is, as we look around the world, we can say to ourselves, what's the path forward? How do we get out of this mess? So, as I've been working in character education, at one point I did a paper on character education as primary prevention. That if you do good character education, it cures an incredible set of ills. Kids engage in less substance abuse, less violence, less racism, because they become good people holistically. And that's something to keep our eye on. I gave a talk once, which I called anti-violence, because I was tired of seeing, anti-bullying and anti-violence signs all over schools. And I said, that's setting the bar way too low. I want flourishing good people and just and caring communities that are peaceful by their very nature. I don't want to just eradicate pathology. So ultimately, I realized what I'm doing, and what, I don't mean this just me, what you're doing is world healing. We're healing the world. It's a long game. We'll never see the outcome of it. But we all have to understand the ills of the world are incredibly complex and systemic, and that there is no quick fix. So as we all struggle to say, how can we stop the racism in our community? How can we stop the sexism in our community? How can we stop the violence in our community? There's no quick answer to any of those. The best answer I know is to be who you are, do what you're doing, and to understand it will happen slowly. Nothing will happen in a straight line, but every one of us needs to, dream big, think small, act now, but never lose sight of the dream and the connection to the dream. So those are the two big picture ideas. You're part of this international community, and what you're doing is healing the world in essence. So I want to leave you with the following thing that I noticed at one point. When some of our schools were recognized as national schools of character, they earned that recognition. They would go through what they called National School of Character burnout. And they tell me, we worked so hard to win that award, and I'm using the words carefully, to win that award, that we just don't want to talk about or think about character ed for a while. We don't want visitors to our school to see it. We don't want to do it anymore. And then there were those who said, now that we've earned this recognition, not that we won an award, but we've earned a recognition, we need to do better. We need to ramp it up. We need to find out, where are the gaps? Where are the things that are good but not great? How do we be better? That's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with that charge to never get complacent, because complacency is the enemy of progress. And to say to yourself, we've made some major headway. Now let's move forward. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you even more for what you're going to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Berkowitz. Maggie?
Hello.
Hi, we are so grateful you are here with us.
I'm glad to be here. My name is Maggie Brorin. I've been an educator at Milwaukee College Prep for 15 years. When I started at Milwaukee College Prep, we were one campus of 500 students. We're now 4 different campuses and about 2,000 students. Character ed was called proactivity back in the day when we started. And then character education became kind of our theme for about 14 years. And I'm sorry, 1 year at the very, very beginning was respect. And respect was the theme for the year. And it was 9 different ways to show respect, whether it's to students or adults, family, the earth, to teachers. So respect was first, then it became character education. It has since morphed into social emotional learning. But all of those 3 have included 5 value words that have not changed very much. And the value words are spell out TREC: trust, respect, excellence, courage, and knowledge. Knowledge was part of our trek for the last 14 years, and this past year we changed it to kindness. So our values are trust, respect, excellence, courage, and kindness. Our proactivity character education team has had a very strong framework for actually the whole 24 years of our school, but I can only speak for the last 15. And so the trek came to be as a team of people that chose those values. Our principal, I would tell you, had very little buy-in at the beginning. He said, I think it's a great idea. You people go ahead and create the framework and I'll probably endorse it. So he wasn't a gung-ho, oh, I'm setting this up or I'm setting you up for success. Mr. Rao was a person who said, let yourselves be the leaders and I'll come in later. And that was a real blessing that he gave us his endorsement and his faith that whatever we were going to do would probably be a good thing for the school and now the 4 schools. In 2009-2010 school year, we were very fortunate to win a State School of Character Award and then a National School of Character Award the same year. What was unique at that time was that we were also 92% of our families were receiving free and reduced lunch for their students. So not only were we State School of Character, National School of Character, but we had a really strong urban feel to what we were doing. And our values have always been clear, but I would say the 2 awards, thank you, Barbara, the awards we earned were ones that really set us, I think, with deeper roots to continue what we are doing. We did have burnout for a year, I must say, after we wrote our application. And it was tough to get back on the bike and keep going, but we did. And the trek values have remained the same, but I wanted to leave you with 3 promising practices that have come through the trek values that we have implemented. The first one, mission statements. I'm sure many of you, because you've been on this journey for a long time, have had mission statements. Our mission statements started 24 years ago when our school was founded. So the school had a mission statement. All the staff by Labor Day had to have their own mission statement crafted and critiqued by another team member. It could be anyone in the building, and then it was posted and published on the door of each classroom. And then by October 15th, every scholar also was asked to develop a mission statement. Now you can imagine K4, it might have just been, I want to be nice. I want to play nice. Or 8th grade, it was expected that the 7th and 8th graders would say, who I am, what I want, and where am I going? That was how their mission statement was defined. Who I am, what I want, and where I am going. So the school had a mission statement. All of the staff have mission statements, and all of the scholars have mission statements. So that's just one example of a promising practice that we continue to tweak year after year. The second promising practice is the Declaration of Excellence. It's 6 stanzas of what our school represents, and our scholars memorize it by the end of K5. It takes 3.5 or 4 minutes. There are hand gestures, some sign language, but it's a really powerful statement. And when visitors come to our school, that's what they always ask for. I heard, and you can almost finish the sentence, they want to see our Declaration of Excellence, because every classroom does it their own way. Every educator is unique and creative in how they have their students create the Declaration of Excellence. Just to give you one tidbit of what I love so much, that my favorite line in the Declaration of Excellence goes like this. There is no place, there is only one place where success comes before work, and that's in the dictionary. There's only one place where success comes before work, and that's in the dictionary. There are many other lines in the Declaration of Excellence. I would love to give you the whole sign language approach, but I'll just leave you with that one. Third and last, our promising practice I want to talk about is poetry. Every single class in every grade level memorizes a poem. At the beginning of the week, it's a group project. Week 2 and week 3 of that month, each student practices the poem on their own. And by week 4, every student is expected to have memorized the poem and give it publicly to their classmates. So we're teaching classics. Oh, I'm sorry, the other thing I forgot is every poem is attached to the value word of that particular period. So the poems always reflect trust, respect, excellence, courage, and kindness. And those poems can also have a little flair and pizzazz, depending upon the sass of each individual scholar that puts it forth. And it's really, really fun. And then we have a poetry competition in May where all the students get to compete. And of course, everyone wins because it's not really a competition. Everyone wins an award. And that's where we need those Frito-Lays from Marquise. Maybe we could have some of those as our awards. But no, in fact, they just get a little sticker that says they've done a good job with their poems. So thank you for inviting me. I want to congratulate all of you as you wrap up your LACCS year, and to encourage you, like Marvin did, to think about purpose and to think about the healing words that come through your character education efforts. I hope that all of you have a restful summer. You sure need one and you sure deserve one. Thanks again for having me, and best of luck on your journey with character education.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Thank you so much. We send so much love your way. And also to you, Dr. Berkowitz. I don't know if he left already, but he said that he would be leaving. And last but not least, actually, we have one more presentation after Jaffe, and it is the person who is the funder for this work, Dick Pieper. So Jaffe, take it away.
All right, good evening, everyone. So when I think about character and just thinking about this evening, a story came to mind. And so I'm going to share this story with you and tie it into what we're talking about tonight. So, and I'm going to read it. So here we go. So in 1992, a guy by the name of Derek Redmond, he ran a race. And this race was a race that changed the trajectory of his life. He was expected to win the 400-meter run and qualify for the finals. In 16 seconds into this race, he pulled a hamstring. And instead of him staying down on that track, he got up and he hobbled his way around the track. And his father ran onto that track to stop him from injuring himself even more. So today you are starting the race by taking everything that you have learned and creating what I love to call the big, hairy, audacious goals. By continuing to invest in the work needed to build strong foundations of character where you work and within yourselves based on those 11 principles. And just like Derek Redmond, you had a goal embedded in qualities from your environment, which amplify the importance of having aligned practices, beliefs, and policies. And when life happens, and boy, did it happen that day for Derek, when you have character and a strong foundation, you automatically know that when you get knocked down, you know how to get back up again. Now, I don't know who was blessed the most on this day back in 1992. Was it Derek? Because he never gave up? Because when you think about it, that's what character looks like. Or was it his father who assisted him without hesitation? That's what character feels like. Or was it the crowd that cheered? Oh man, that's what character sounds like. You know, I mentioned earlier when Derek's dad rushed onto the track and he did it to save his son's career. However, Derek pushed through the worst pain he had ever felt. And this is what he told his father. I have to finish this race. So they did it together. And today, together, that's what you did. It's been an honor to celebrate your accomplishment of recognizing the importance of character work and the joy of knowing firsthand what Derek Redmond felt as he crossed that finish line. Now, he never had a chance to record in the books that he won the 400 meter, but let me tell you what he was able to record. He recorded across his heart the result of having character and the lasting impact on his life. And you're making the same kind of impact on others as a result of just being here today. And I encourage you to keep running and you win that race. Congratulations, class of 2021. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jaffe. And I think Lauren has a clip that we wanted to share from Dick Pieper, who imparted this wisdom to us, the team from LACCS, and we really appreciated it during our retreat so much. I happened to know him a little bit, and I knew he was going to say something that we would want to keep forever. And so we clipped this piece to share with you tonight.
What you folks are doing is the easiest way for the rubber to meet the road, and you can see it. These children, I mean, I love this outrageous love. I'm using this term now because I had breakfast with a grandchild, and I asked her, I said, "What do you think of that?" "Oh," she said, "Yes, yes, yes." And I told her, well, but she said it applies to grade schools more. She's having a tough time at high school, freshman. But she said it applies to grade schools and middle schools. I don't see it in the high school. So I am delighted to be a part of this. It enriches my life, I will assure you. And the deeper we listen to each other and we empathize, we think about what the other person is experiencing, the more we grow. And that listening without any telling, if absolutely necessary, say something. But other than that, just listen. And we become more than we were before.
And so I don't know if Mr. Pieper is on here, but we just want to thank you. We thank you for all of your words of wisdom. We encourage those of you listening to continue to listen to the young people. And we, of course, have Amira here, but I think before Amira, somebody help me, either before Amira or after. Is Amira last word? Julie?
We've got our video.
Video
and-
clip. Okay, let's do the video, and then Amira the poet is here because we're going to give a young person, not the youngest, because I do see Ariane's daughter on here, and I know that Dr. Foy's son is on here, Gavin, too. So go right ahead, and we'll play that video.
Before we play that, I just want to thank Marvin and Maggie and Jaffe for those amazing words. And for those of you who don't know Maggie, she has been a promising practice reviewer for years with WCEP. She knows promising practices and state schools of character. And so thank you so much, Maggie, for coming tonight.
Amira, you are on.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be back. And I want to give a little spiel before I do this poem. So I don't know if you all know, but this, the color blue, which I'm wearing, signifies the healing power of God. Spiritually signifies that. And I think a lot of the work that you all are doing and have been accomplishing is all about healing. And in order to move forward, we need to go through that healing process. And so I'm just so encouraged for the children's future and the lives that you all are going to touch. And I was actually asked to create this poem that I'm going to do for you for Community Day. And I was given 5 words: reaching for change, promoting equity. And I believe that's exactly a part of the work that you all are doing. And I just want to commend you for the amazing work you've been doing, taking that first step to be a change agent in whatever space that you're standing in. And I hope you are encouraged to tie those laces up and run. So without further ado, the poem is called The Movement, and it's really a call to action, I believe. And here we go. Sometimes change seems so far away. We get discouraged and disappointed, sometimes even go astray. Let us pray. How can we reach for change when our arms don't feel long enough? And how can we promote equity when we can't even find the right words to say? Feel the pumps of your heart and the beat of your soul. What kind of life will make those keep working? What is your perfect world? One where our differences are accepted and seen. What if normal wasn't a thing, where love runs through every vein, when we can exist together in peace and not in pain, where our love is not in vain? When existing isn't hiding, but you can actually see me, where our love is blind, but you can see my skin color clearly and won't fear me. Imagine how close we'd be if every arm would reach, and imagine how close we'd be if we break our silence and speak. They say the tongue holds power. Well, how will you use it? Will you speak life, change, equality, equity, or will you choose to abuse it? Think of a time where you didn't use it. Now imagine that moment again. Would you do it? We got this. We can do it. It is about time we take our foot off the brake and place it straight on the gas, where we can reach our goal and be one at last, but we have to commit to doing the work. We have to commit to put each other first. I have faith that we can figure it out what works. I dare you to dream. Now I dare you to work for it. I dare you to use all of your tools and your resources. Are you willing to put your all in it? Can you afford it? Am I worth it? Am I enough for you to say yes to change? And am I enough for me and you to be treated the same in Jesus' name? How important to you is change, and how important to you is equity and unity? I think we need more than a day to be committed to the community. The work doesn't stop after today. This is a daily commitment. Be free, not resistant. This is our mission. We can no longer afford to stay in the same position. It is time to move. Thank you, and I hope we all can move together.
Well, everyone, thank you so much. I'm kind of in a dark office at Alverno. I just want to thank everyone for participating this year. Thank you, Amira. First of all, let me thank you, Amira. We love you. Amira will be back next year, and we are looking forward to seeing all of you and people that you tell about this program. This is for you, leaders. There'll be a little bit of a change. We're calling these times that we meet, instead of calling them seminars or sessions, we will be calling them retreats. So we want you to come and be refreshed. We want you to come so that you can do all of this work. Tighten up your laces. Time to tighten up your laces. What did Amira say? I think she said that. So let's do that. Let's commit to the work, to doing the work, and mostly to loving one another. This is heart work. We are so grateful for you, and we look forward to all of you coming back, as I said, not only next year, but to the Character Conference. June 24th, sign up, be there, And we love you all so much. Congratulations. I want to say that. Congratulations to the promising practice winners. I don't know if you can see my screen here. Those are the promising practices winners. And without LACCS, we wouldn't have had many for the state of Wisconsin. So this is for the entire state. So we took over. Let's go. And next year, we'll get even more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you.
See you in June.